Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Jazwares Halo 2 Master Chief, part of the Spartan collection, and this one is in Series 4. For those of you who don't know where to find the series number, it is back here, next to the figure assortment for that bunch. Still haven't found this guy yet, need to review him, but I did review this guy, so check that out up in the link thingy above. Okay, that's up there. Okay, so this guy has a lot of good stuff about it. It's pretty cool. It's Halo 2 Master Chief. Haven't had a figure of that in a long time. We got the McFarlane one and the Joyride one. By the way, if you guys want me to compare these to Joyride figures, if you'd like to see a video about that, let me know in the comments section below. But yeah, there's some good stuff about this figure and some stuff that's pretty awful. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, this guy stands just about 7 3/8 inches tall, which makes him pretty close to, let's just say 19, just shy of 19 centimeters. So he's got some good size to him. If you want to compare him against, what do we have here? The Series 1 Halo Infinite Master Chief. He is just a touch shorter, just a touch. Okay, so before we get into the aesthetics, guys, let's do a quick question of the day. Which Halo game is your favorite? For me, I'm gonna have to go with Halo 4. It had the best story elements with the Didact and Master Chief and Cortana. The gameplay was super fun. Don't love everything about it, but I think Halo 4 is the all-around best Halo game. We can fight in the comment section below. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetics on this guy. First of all, why is he neon green? Key lime pie is not the color of Master Chief's armor. This is freaking weird. And, okay, I could see making it two-tone green, but they made him key lime pie for the molded plastic, and then a slightly brighter, more saturated green for the little parts, which are so inconsistently painted. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm missing a whole spot right here. Half of his backpack color is that. His head is like half that color. It's very freaking weird. I have no idea what's going on with this release. And on top of that, they didn't really do any of the proper painting. Like, it's just key lime pie and then black. So his toes are jet black. His undersuit is jet black. Everything is completely jet black. It's either black or key lime pie or slightly more key lime pie. Very strange. Like, his toes are not supposed to be solid black. That's just not a thing. He's not supposed to be this color. He's not supposed to have silver dry brush everywhere. What is happening here? It's very strange from a painting perspective. I hate the paint. I hate the color choices. It is desperately in desperate need of a repaint. This is the weirdest paint job I've seen on a figure, maybe in forever. It's so weird. It's very strange. That being said, the helmet looks amazing as far as the sculpt and the visor goes. That looks just like the Halo 2 Chief. I love it. In fact, the sculpt work all the way around looks pretty good, except for when we get to the engineering sections of the knees and things like that. But the sculpt work is nice. I think it's a very good interpretation of Chief. It's got good proportions. The head looks really good. The visor being chrome is awesome, and it's really nice. The only other thing I noticed is he's got really tiny hands, little baby hands. For example, I'll show you. I have one of his fist hands right here. And then we also have, come on camera. Here we go. Alright, so here we have the Infinite Chief, and here we have the Halo 2 Chief. You saw they're basically the same size figure. His hand is tiny compared to the other Chief. Why does he have tiny baby hands? That's interesting to me. But the aesthetic is generally pretty good. His feet look like they're giant, but that's because he did have those big old Halo 2, Halo 3 boots. And it's because of the black paint, I think. It looks like they're huge and weird because of the paint job and because of the way they did the knees. It makes the feet look big. I know that sounds weird, but it's a thing. So yeah, it's very weird from the aesthetics perspective. A repaint would do this guy such justice. As it is, it's bad. 5 out of 10. It's the wrong color. It's the wrong color, and then they painted the feet black, the toes black, and all the other bits that shouldn't be black are black, and it's just weird. Very, very weird. I'm sorry. Okay, so as far as accessories go, we have the 2 fist hands, we have 2 gripping hands, we have 2 trigger finger hands, and then we have 1 2-finger pointy hand. Not a bad array of hands. I like that we have the trigger finger hands for the SMGs. Don't know why we're back to having trigger finger hands. Some of the Chiefs have them, some of them don't. Series 1 did. Series 4 does not. I don't know what they're doing with the trigger fingers, and they're like, inconsistent, I guess would be the way to do it, but that's what we have. Then we do get the 2 SMGs. They actually don't have a trigger guard or triggers on them, which means we can just use regular grippy hands, but we don't. We have trigger finger hands. SMGs look good enough, I guess. That's it for accessories, so 7 out of 10. It's reasonable. That's fine. I will note that we do still have the replaceable armor pieces. They just pop off and flip around to have a peg sticking out. You can put the SMGs on his thighs. You can do the same thing back here with this little piece. They just pop off. Sometimes they're a little tricky to get off because they're wedged in pretty good. But give it a rock back and forth. Just chipped my nail. There we go. No, that shot across the room. So you just pop it off, and you can see it's the same thing on both sides. I'll zoom in for you. It's not painted on both sides, but you're going to have a weapon on there. So you have the sculpt on that side that's painted, and the sculpt on that side that has the little weapon peg on there. So you can put his rifle or something on his back. If he had one, but he doesn't. He only has the SMG, so that's weird. So yeah, decent enough batch of accessories, 7 out of 10. Now it's time to talk about the articulation. And I'm going to warn you guys, there is a part of this that you may not want your children to see. Alright, so for the head, it's nice and seated properly. I like that. The joint does lean back, not a ton, but enough, and it does lean forward. It's your standard Marvel Legends type articulation. God, I love these chrome visors. Full rotation because it's technically a ball peg. Is there any attitude? Not really. Technically, yes, but not really. Do we get any butterfly joint on this guy? No, we do not. We have our full rotation that way. That's good. We have our hinge this way. They get out to about horizontal. Now, this is all part of the same piece. There's not like a separate shoulder pad, so there's not much flexing going on, so that's going to be as good as it's going to get. You do get your bicep swivel, though, so that's good. Double jointed elbow. Nowhere near as good as the Infinite Chiefs. Yeah, we're just getting slightly better than 90. Don't know why they did that. This guy has such good elbow range. Like, they know how to do elbows, apparently. And this guy has virtually none. Again, Jazwares, if you guys need some consulting done for your engineering or anything, let me know. Alright, so for our wrists, we have a swivel and a hinge. No vertical hinge, just the horizontal hinge. It'll be okay because he's dual wielding, so that's fine, but it's still kind of a bummer. For the torso, you get like a couple degrees of range, but that's it. Virtually no leaning. It's just going to wobble around. And I'm guessing they did the same. Yep, they did the same thing. We have a big ball socket, a floating piece that hides that's keyed in so it can't rotate, and then our big old ball peg, which would give us so much range. Look at this, guys. I want you to see this. Like, that's the kind of range we should have, especially since we have a floating undersuit. There's no reason that the floating undersuit couldn't actually be floating and afford all kinds of crazy range. Instead, we got basically none. You can't even really rotate it, so that sucks. Just no other way about it. For the hips, we can bring them up better than horizontal, so that is awesome. He kicks very well. They did a good job with the hips. No crazy big gaps. I think that's perfectly fine. They go out to the side, almost all the way, but they kind of messed up on the hip. It has more clearance, but there's no more cutout, so they can't go any farther. Granted, we don't need the splits, but you could have better range if you wanted to. But that's okay. They're not loose. I'll take that. Thigh swivel is fine. They don't really go back too far, just a little bit. Now here we get to the knees, and this is a part, if you have kids watching, you may want to shield their eyes. This is not pretty. So we have our knees that do this. Holy, I thought they were going to be done with the bad knees after the Series 4 Master Chief, or Series 3 Series 4 Master Chief. These knees are an abomination to action figures everywhere. What happened? How does that happen? I thought it was bad with the Infinite Master Chief, the new one. This is the most obscene knee joint I have ever seen, and that includes play arts. I don't even know how to describe what this is. It's not a knee. What happened? Look at this. Look at the Series 1 knee for Master Chief that was not great and could have been tweaked to make it awesome, but it's still good enough. Like, I get it. It's armor. He's bulky. That knee's not great, but it's fine. Like, totally acceptable. Look at the difference. What is that? That's so ridiculously bad. There's no hiding it. There's no using it. It's way too big. Like, you can't pose your figure like that on a shelf. It looks like a freaking Lego. What do they call it? Bionicle. It looks like a Bionicle. It has no shape to it. No form. Some function. But even then, the function's not even good. That's ridiculous. You're going to have to leave it like this and just pose it like that's the most you can bend the knee without it looking just totally ridiculous. Now, how they could have... I'm not going to say how they could have fixed it. You know what? They can contact me if they want to. You could have fixed it so easily. Like, even leaving the top half alone, you could have fixed it. But you could have just made it like the Series 1 Chief. or like any other action figure in the last 10 years. I don't know what this is. These knees are a joke. I'm sorry, there's no nice way to put that. Now for the ankles, they're screwed up too. I'll show you. They go back, that's fine. They go forward, that's fine, that's good. But they put the pegs straight into the foot. There's no ankle rocker. There's no... Like that. This is not a joint anybody needs, ever, ever, ever. There's no way to angle the foot. You can't put the pegs straight. Doesn't work that way. Toe joint is okay. It's pretty far forward. It's a bit too far, but it's fine. It's like no problem. I still like the way they do their toe joints. It's the way I've been saying they do it for years. So yeah, this guy's knees are an absolute joke. His torso doesn't work, and the ankles don't work. So, like, what the heck? This is weird stuff we're having to deal with on these figures. I know they're only $20, but they're new molds. Like, they're being designed right now. It's not like they can't just make them right. There's no excuse for that. So, articulation on this guy gets a very generous 6 out of 10 because some of it works fine, but those knees and those ankles and the torso are not acceptable even at the $20 price point because it doesn't cost more to make things work properly. They're being designed from scratch. Design them from scratch correctly. It doesn't cost any more money. Okay, so final verdict on this guy. It's a good enough mold. The visor's nice. That's about it. The sculpts are good and the visor's nice. The paints are way off, the colors are way off, and half the engineering is just abysmal. So I'm very disappointed in this figure. I think most people are who aren't going to have their chief just standing there with his guns up like this in his 90-degree bent elbows. So that's fine, but you can't even put him in his halo pose, his cover pose, because his knees are so... Like, I don't remember how... Was it this way? Whatever. He was standing with his knees bent, but his knees are such a joke you can't do it. So yeah, I'm very, very bummed out. And the colors are off, and I wanted to love this. And it's so close to being good. If the colors were right, I could even let the knees go. But they're not. So yeah, I'm very, very bummed out. Final verdict, a generous 6 out of 10. They screwed up way too much. They were so close to something great, but it's just way too screwed up. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.